Today, on Running to Him, we will be reading Psalms 76 through 77. When I began writing these devotions almost 11 years ago, we would just read the Psalms on Sunday and concentrate on the hymns of the Old Testament. I want to go back to that tradition. So today, we'll read Psalm 78, and we'll go through every psalm in 59 weeks at my projected pace. Psalm 78. Listen, O my people, to my instruction. Incline your ear to the words of my mouth. I will open my mouth in a parable. I will utter dark sayings of old, which we have heard and known, and our fathers have told us. We will not conceal them from our children, but tell to the generation to come the praises of the Lord, and his strength, and his wondrous works that he has done. For he established a testimony in Jacob, and appointed a law in Israel, which he commanded our fathers that they should teach to their children, that the generations to come might know, even the children yet to be born, yet that they might arise and tell them to their children, and they should put their confidence in God and not forget the works of God, but keep his commandments and not be like their fathers. A stubborn and rebellious generation, a generation that did not prepare its heart and whose spirit was not faithful to God. The sons of Ephraim were archers equipped with bows, yet they turned back in the day of battle. They did not keep the covenant of God and refused to walk in his law. They forgot his deeds and his miracles that he had shown them. He wrought wonders before their fathers in the land of Egypt, in the field of Zoan. He divided the sea and caused them to pass through, and he made the waters stand up like a heap. Then he led them with the cloud by day and night with a light of fire. He split the rocks in the wilderness and gave them abundant drink like the ocean depths. He brought forth streams also from the rock and caused waters to run down to rivers. Yet they still continued to sin against him, to rebel against the Most High in the desert. And in their heart they put God to the test by asking for food according to their desire. They then spoke against God. They said, "Can God prepare a table in the wilderness?" And behold, he struck the rock so that the waters gushed out and the streams were overflowing. Can he give bread also? Will he provide meat for his people? Therefore the Lord heard and was full of wrath. And a fire was kindled against Jacob, and anger also mounted against Israel, because they did not believe in God and did not trust in his salvation. Yet he commanded the clouds above and opened the doors of heaven. He rained down manna upon them to eat, gave them food from heaven. Man did eat the bread of angels. He sent them food in abundance. He caused the east wind to blow in the heavens, and by his power he directed the south wind. When he rained meat upon them like the dust, even winged fowl like the sand of the seas. He then let them fall into the midst of their camp, round about their dwellings. So they ate and were filled, and their desire he gave to them. And before they had satisfied their desire, while the food was in their mouths, the anger of God rose against them and killed some of their stoutest ones, and subdued the choice men of Israel. In spite of all of this, they still sinned and did not believe in his wonderful works. So he brought their days to an end in futility, and their years in sudden terror. When he killed them, then they sought him, and returned and searched diligently for God. And they remembered that God was their rock and Most High their Redeemer. But they deceived him with their mouths and lied to him with their tongue, for their heart was not steadfast toward him, nor were they faithful in his covenant. But he, being compassionate, forgave their iniquity and did not destroy them. And often he retained his anger and did not arouse all his wrath. And thus he remembered that they were but flesh, a wind that passes and does not return. How often they rebelled against him in the wilderness and grieved him in the desert. Again and again they tempted God and pained the Holy One of Israel. They did not remember his power, the day when he redeemed them from their adversary, when he performed his signs in Egypt and his marvels in the field of Zoan, and turned their rivers to blood, and their streams they could not drink. He sent among them the swarms of fly which devoured them, and frogs which destroyed them. And he also gave their crops to the grasshopper, and the product of their labor to the locust. He destroyed their vines with hailstones, and their sycamore trees with frost. and he gave over their cattle to the hailstones and their herds to bolts of lightning. He sent upon them his burning anger and fury and indignation and trouble, a band of destroying angels. He leveled a path for his anger, but he did not spare their soul from death, but gave them over to their plague, and smote the firstborn of Egypt, the first issue of their virility in the tents of Ham. But he led forth his own people like a sheep, and guided them in the wilderness like a flock. And he led them to safety, so that they did not fear, but the sea engulfed their enemies. So he brought them to his holy land, to this hill country, which his right hand had gained. He also drove out the nations before them, and apportioned for them an inheritance by measurement, and made the tribes of Israel dwell in their tents. Yet they tempted and rebelled against the Most High God, and did not keep his testimonies, but turned back and acted treacherously like their fathers. They turned aside like treacherous bows. For they provoked him with their high places, and aroused his jealousy with their graven images. When God heard, he was filled with wrath, and greatly abhorred Israel. So that he abandoned the dwelling place at Shiloh, the tent which he had pitched among men. And he gave up his strength to captivity, and his glory to the hand of the adversary. And he also delivered his people to the sword, and was filled with wrath at his inheritance. Fire devoured his young men, and his virgins had no wedding songs. His priests fell by the sword, and his widows could not weep. Then the Lord awoke from his sleep like a warrior overcome by wine, and he drove his adversaries backward, and he put on them the everlasting reproach. And he also rejected the tent of Joseph, and did not choose the tribe of Ephraim, but chose the tribe of Judah, Mount Zion, which he loved. And he built his sanctuary like the heights, like the earth which he has founded forever. He also chose David his servant, and took him from the sheepfolds. From the care of the ewes with suckling lambs, he brought him to shepherd Jacob his people, and Israel his inheritance. So he shepherded them according to the integrity of his heart, and he guided them with his skillful hands. May you have a blessed, blessed Sunday. Thank you for listening. We pray that today's devotion was meaningful to you. We would love to hear from you. You can use either Facebook or YouTube to like, subscribe, share, and tell others about us. If you would like to contact us, you can reach me at phineasjacobus@runningtohim.net.